girl did die up there, I suppose. The young me that came to this big city.
Sandy.
I had hopes and dreams like you. I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to perform, to act. Being a whore is a bit like being an actress, I suppose. You have to pretend you're someone else.
Welcome back. Another episode of The Night Welcomes Horror here on Horror Fiend TV. And man, do we got a good one? First watch for me. I know this film is talked about. You can tell below we're going to talk about. But before we talk about that, let's talk to my boy, my co-host, Radar the Board, author extraordinaire. Before we talk about this episode, why don't you drop a little bit about your latest book that just came out recently?
Yeah, so it is what's known as a grief horror. So it's going to make you cry more than anything else, probably. Very short, and it's about a creature that goes to Earth to harvest fear from a little girl, and it goes back and forth occasionally. And as time goes on, it finds out, hey, this is getting harder because there's a lot more that the girl has to be afraid of than it.
That's it. It's just I gotta get it. Definitely gonna get it. Once I get it, I'm gonna post it up here because I definitely want to read it. Because I'll be honest, I've been watching a lot of grief horror lately.
Oh, really?
Oh, there's a lot of good films. I just did one recently called Starved Acre on Hidden Gems. Definitely watch that one.
Yeah,
That
that
one.
one's definite grief horror.
Oh yeah. So there's a lot of good grief horror coming out. Not that I'm saying grief is good, but a lot of good horror movies that have to do with grief. This one we're talking about, you could say there's a little bit of grief horror in this one.
Just a twinge.
Yeah, there is. But I mean, so besides that, how are you doing, my buddy? Are you ready to really take a fun poke at this one?
Oh, for sure. This is, and I have a feeling just because I know you that you probably enjoyed the hell out of this movie because, like, Edgar Wright is great as a director. He's a fantastic director. So I bet the first thing that probably caught your eye was the cinematography.
Oh God, I loved it.
Oh,
It reminded me of the cinematography and the look of Suspiria, even
yeah.
the new one. But yeah, I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, this film is about an inspiring fashion designer who goes from the country to London, and while she's there, she starts having these visions, these encounters of a person in the 1960s, an aspiring singer. And this is where it gets really disturbing because it's hard to know what's reality and what's, well, we'll dive into a little bit more. But the first question I have to ask, because this film does have one of my favorite actresses of all time. She's just fucking awesome in horror. I love Anya Taylor Joy. So, the one question I have to ask you when I was watching this film, I was like, man, who would Radar pick if he was in this film to play his, I don't know, alter ego or just, I mean, I don't even know how you would describe what she was seeing, but who would you pick to play you?
Right. So I feel like it might be between two choices, but just because of look wise, I feel like if I had been born in the 70s, it would have been like perfect to get like Rick Moranis to play me, like a young Rick Moranis, because we kind of look similar. If I shave my beard, and then I forget the actor's name, but the stoner guy in Cabin in the Woods. Him and I look incredibly similar.
Nice. I had
Uh,
to ask you, man. I was like, hey, who would play Radar? I mean, that'd be interesting. For me, I think yeah, I had the actor's name on mine now slipped out of me. One of them is he plays a lot of comedy. He was in the Ant-Man movie. He was Paul Rudd's right hand.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I'm blanking on his name too.
he was
That's a
in
good one.
he was in Next Friday. He played Baby Joker, which he is. I think his sense of humor and mine are pretty good. But if I was to go on a more serious tone, I would say like a young like Al Pacino.
Okay, interesting. I wouldn't have expected you to go with Al Pacino, but I could see it.
I always loved Al Pacino. I just think with him, he has this way of delivering his sarcastic humor, and his lines are always pretty good when he does his humor. But yeah, I mean, I think it'd be interesting having a young Al Pacino. But
I mean, I wouldn't complain either if I had a young Al Pacino doing my part either.
all right, so let's talk about this character. So we have this character named Eloise, who we find out that, and I think this is pretty interesting, and I should have added this in the questions, but I'm going to ask you anyways, is at the beginning of the film, when, she's at living with her grandmother, because we find out what actually happened to her mother.
Right.
Unfortunately, she committed suicide, which, I think set the tone of this film as far as the boundaries between both worlds. But like, what did you think of that whole setup where she will always see her mother in the mirror?
I think that's I think that's a great way to just kind of start off and get like in the character's headset of like, okay, establishing like this is what's going to happen without over explaining, because it perfectly foreshadows what's coming later. And so you don't have to really, and I love how this film doesn't it sets the groundwork, but it does it subtly. And it never explains and it never does some bonks you over the head like a lot of other movies where it's like Eloise can see this because of this, and this. She went to the library and researched it for 20 15 minutes of the movie. No, it's just she can do it. There you go.
Yeah, it was interesting too because I like how the way it set it up of looking through a mirror, what's on the other side of the mirror, kind of really set the tone for the film. And I'll be honest, when I first saw like the image of her mother, I was confused at first. I'm like, huh. So who the hell is that lady? And then she turned on like,
Right.
hold up. So right there, I'm like, all right, I was a little bit curious, especially when we found out that her mother had committed suicide.
Right.
Which later on in the film, when she moves into London, now her grandmother was concerned the whole time that you sure you want to go to London? They're basically setting up the groundwork of there's a lot in London that could basically scare the shit out of you.
Right.
So she goes into the fashion school, which I was kind of rooting for her. Hey, she got accepted, but
Right.
she goes there. People are fucking assholes, just like usual. You had that one chick who kept stealing her thunder, kept making fun of her.
Right. It felt really 80s bully too. Like
Yeah. It did, and she's a great character. Top of my head. All right, sorry I had to look. Sorry, people. Sometimes you have to look, but Thomasin McKenzie, who plays Eloise, I mean, right off the bat, this film had a great cast. This is back to back films where I seen Matt Smith. He's such an asshole.
he plays an asshole very well.
There's just three things I know him for now that I've seen him so much now is, well, this one, Star Baker, he was a freaking prick, kind of there too.
Right.
And then, I mean, House of Dragons, we all know how disturbing he is there. But, this film had like a very good cast that was chosen. And I give kudos to Edgar Wright because all these characters were very well played.
Very well.
So Eloise decides to leave the uncomfort of the dorms and moves into this. I think it was like a boarding house. It was like on the third floor. Just that nice small apartment too.
Yeah, pretty solid, honestly, because it didn't seem like there was anyone else really there either, except for her and what is the name of the older woman who's like the owner?
Alex Collins.
Alex Collins, thank you. I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
It was like, what is her name?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, you're right. I didn't notice that. It was just them too.
Yeah, which
holy shit,
hell of a deal in London.
That's a boarding house of just two people. Yeah, but so once she moves there, this is where she starts having these visions, these encounters. I mean, like, what were your thoughts about, once she started experiencing these things when she moved into the apartment?
Right. It's so I would say I watched Last Night in Soho, I'll say 2.5 times. Because like the first time I watched it, um, I was putting it on to kind of like fall asleep because I tend to do that. I'm like, and then I'll come back to it the next night if I enjoy it. But in that first 30 minutes, nothing horror related happens. So even though that first sequence in the whole when she has that vision and of the past and her like kind of in the body of Sandy, and there's like that cool, interesting, dance on the floor. It's like, wow, the cinematography is fantastic. The shots are incredible. The music, fantastic choice, of course. And that again, from a technical standpoint, incredible. Narratively, I'm like, I don't give a shit because I want horror. So that's why it's 2.5, because I didn't really give a shit, and nothing terrifying happens in that first sequence. Nothing seems awry. It's all rainbows and sunshines. But I love how it takes its first 2 times having it, 2 or 3, like having those kind of dreams or what have you, and she's just absolutely in love with Sadie and like the idea of that and that time period. And then the fourth one, it's not gradual, they just completely falls apart.
Yeah, it was I'll be honest, when she started experiencing those, I kind of went back to the fact that her mother had committed suicide. So I was like, all right, is this something where, people escape the real world to go into these fake worlds, these
Right.
just escape from reality. But yeah, I mean, once she started going into those visions, I was like, all right, this is interesting. Because yeah, she went to school with one day with a hickey on her neck.
Yeah, I love how they had that little thing and then they just didn't bring it up. Like nothing else kind of like happened like that. It's just like a little one-off. It's such a cool thing.
No, this film, I feel like it had a lot of ambiguity in it.
Yeah, which we
And
love.
oh yeah, we love that. If you don't know us two by now, we love ambiguity. Not in all films, there's certain films we know more of, but there's also certain films, and in case you guys hear it, that's my bird going throwing tantrum in the background. If you hear it, which I'm going to keep going because I'm going to yell at the bird. But yeah, the fact that there was a lot of ambiguity in it, and I love the way the scenes were shot, and the fact that a lot of the scenes that took place in the club, the coloring was always red and orange, which is, that's very Alfred Hitchcock like with the color schemes, but here you have this character, and don't get me wrong, Louise she's a very adorable character because her innocence,
she's cute.
Yeah, her innocence is just there, and it's just you feel for this girl. And I got to make a confession too. The first time I watched this, I learned a lesson. Never put on a horror movie on a Friday night because for some reason you just come home dead fucking tired. But I started watching this and I actually fell asleep because I was waiting for the horror elements to arrive. And then
I'm glad it wasn't just me.
No. It took a while. I'm sitting there like, okay, this is a horror. Where is this horror going to start?
Right.
But I understand why they did it. It was laying the foundation for her character and her development. And at the same time, leave you questioning a lot of things about her character, and once this other persona started taking fold, I mean, what did you think of the Sandy persona?
Right. I mean, because I kind of took the kind of a little bit by talking about, I guess, how night 4 things fall apart. But it's interesting to see, and again, that groundwork is so important with Eloise because she feels lonely, she feels shut out, she feels like an outsider in London. She doesn't really fit in, and through those dreams, she feels like she connects with Sandy, even though Sandy's 50 plus years in the past. And so I think if that groundwork had been laid when she starts, when she goes and dyes her freaking hair, I think people would go like, oh, like audience members would go, "Oh, Eloise is just mentally unstable." She's not in her right head. But I think because they laid that groundwork, it feels more like she's just trying to connect, and she's just trying to, become part of something that she thinks is cool and interesting, and maybe this will help boost her confidence. I thought it was an interesting persona. I want to get your opinion, like when things start to go awry, did you enjoy her like still looking like Sandy as a when things were going awry, as opposed to say like they do some kind of continuity error where she changes her hair back or something real fast?
No, I like the fact that she did that because for me, it felt like she was trying to do everything to fit in, and changing her look was one of those things. I feel like she wanted to become the Sandy persona because the persona she was currently, she was having a hard time getting accepted. But
Right.
the fact that she took that turn where she was like, you know what, I'm going to look like, this person I'm imagining, and to the point where I'm going to have the exact, not only the haircut, the exact even hairstyle.
Yeah.
Because when she told the cops that, the cop was like, "So you took this person's hairstyle?" I'm like, "This person you're imagining." But I love. I mean, listen. I love Anya Taylor Joy. I think she's for me. I know, people probably disagree with me, but I think she is the main horror queen right now because there's nothing. Every movie she does where she's in it in the horror aspect, she's amazing in it. And
She's a great
yeah,
actress.
she's a great actress. She could pull any role, and I love this Sandy personality. But we'll find out it wasn't really persona. But I love how she went through all this stuff, and the fact that it got to the point where Eloise started really thinking, all right, this is not something I'm imagining. This person really exists, and I
Right.
I, I love that whole where she went back into the '60s. But then when she's doing the fashion design, it's like '60s style at the same time.
Yeah. She leans hard.
Oh yeah, I mean she obviously she loves the '60s, but you know, one of my favorite scenes in this film, and this goes with the great cinematography, and I want to see what you think of the scenes where we see the Sandy that she realizes that she's trapped in this world that in order for her to succeed, she has to be used as a toy for all these rich men.
Right.
And there's one scene in particular where she's sitting down and she's meeting all these men. And in the mirror, on the other side of the mirror, there's Eloise looking at her the whole time. I thought that shot was so well done because I'm actually looking at Eloise a lot and
Yeah.
seeing, all right, is she mimicking Sandy as Sandy's world? And the whole time she's just like looking and she's so concerned. And then there's that one scene which we'll talk about later where, you know, Sandy's singing with this guy, and the guy she goes, "Oh, I smell copper." He goes, "Yeah, this is not for you. You should, leave this world. Leave what you're doing." And we'll later, we'll recycle back to that. But what did you think of that scene in particular when you have that whole setup with the mirrors?
Right. I think this film does a fantastic job with the mirrors, like setting that up. That scene was great, but I feel like more impressive to me, like back a few scenes, was that first like when Sandy like things really fall apart and you have Sandy walking down that hallway and just like every person they pass by, like these girls are doing some nasty stuff with guys, and like, just everywhere you look, someone's doing drugs over here or someone's getting, prostituted over there. And it's just like all these horrible things going on down this hallway. I love that shot, but the mirror scene is fantastic too, because it really speeds up the whole process of like, letting yeah, Sandy went through a lot of bad stuff in a short amount of time.
That and the fact that, and this is definitely gonna lay heavy on our next question. But before I get to that question, is the fact that all these men that took advantage of Sandy, and this film did something which I found very interesting. It reminded me of another film. Once I get it, I think, yeah, once I get it, which one I'm talking about, it's actually an Asian film, international film, but the scenes where these like phantoms of
Mhm.
the ghosts of all these men are following her, and then you can't see the face. What did you think of that whole? I mean, that's a risky thing to do as far as this is how we're going to show these ghosts or whatever these things are haunting Eloise. I mean, what did you think of the look of them?
Right, that sort of conceal the face a little bit, but yet you know who they are. You know who
Yeah.
they are. I it's funny because they kind of remind me of shadow people. And I wrote a book that has shadow men in it, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is just my book for a little bit there. But I like the them sort of just like following her consistently and getting more and more overpowering, but not to like the point where they're like, okay, we're gonna physically hurt you or something. I like how it never goes that far. They're just really creepy,
Yeah.
and it's very and it's kind of ambiguous the whole time what they're after. From Eloise's standpoint, it's like, well, clearly they're trying to kill me or something or do something. And from the other standpoint, like as you kind of watch it and you go along, you can also see the other side of like maybe they're just kind of there. There's just these ghosts of the past and they're just kind of there to creep you out, not necessarily harm you.
Yeah.
So I love, again, that ambiguity, how it kind of, in that probably like hiding a good chunk of their faces helps with that too.
Yeah, I can't get the film, which I'm not gonna look for because we're recording this. But I can't get the name of the film. But it was an Asian horror film where people were taping themselves up like in their houses because
Mhm.
these shadow people were coming after them. And it had to do with like a lot of you can be on your phone, you can be on your computer. People were dying. I'll get the name of it, in our next episode because I'm gonna make sure I drop exactly what I was talking about. But like I like that whole interaction with that because there's that one scene where she's in the library and they're all chasing her
Right.
to the point where I'm like, hold up, did she just really grab a pair of scissors? She's gonna end up killing the wrong person.
For sure.
And she almost got the wrong person, the person who basically been bullying her the whole time, which is kind of ironic that she was the one that was gonna get chosen and get stabbed in the head by a pair of scissors. But you know, this film had a lot of like little like drops, little hints that were given you of the
Right.
mystery of what happened to Sandy, because there's that one scene where she's about to have sex and then she sees Sandy getting killed by Jack, played by Matt Smith, and you know she sees Sandy get stabbed multiple times by Jack. So in her mind, she has to figure out who this Jack character was,
Right.
which she thought was this character, Lindsay, which is funny because he's when you look at the cast, silver haired gentleman. They don't even say his
Silver
name.
haired gentleman. Yeah.
Silver haired gentleman. But his character name was Lindsay. So, Eloise goes to the cops. She thinks it's, this guy who's basically at fault for what happened to, Sandy. But we start finding out this movie has one hell of a fucking twist. I mean, so one, did you see the twist coming? And two, what were your thoughts on the actual twist?
Right. So, I mean, I would argue that this film has two twists. And the first one got me. And then, like, 2 minutes after that first twist happened, I went, okay, I think I know what's going on here. But that first twist totally bamboozled me. And so I'm curious to get. I don't know if we should spoil it. So I don't.
No, let's
It's
spoil it. I mean, if you haven't
oh
watched this
man,
movie yet, this movie's been since 2021, even though it's the first watch for me. So 4 years later, I watched it. But yeah, if you haven't watched this one, yeah, we're about to just, if we haven't spoiled it enough, we're really about to just spoil this whole film.
really about to spoil it. So that first twist, in my opinion, is Lindsay getting just demolished by a car, and like the owner of the pub going like, "Oh no, he was an ex-copper." And then Eloise is like, "Oh shit, that was the dude who was telling Sandy to get out of there,
Yeah.
to leave. He was not the bad guy. He was not Jack." And that one took me by surprise. I was not expecting that. So I'm curious, the second twist that comes, did you see that one coming after that first one happened, or did it still completely take you by surprise?
I didn't see it, but part of me was curious of the fact that Alexandra, a person who owned the home, how one now it goes back to what you said earlier. One, how this was the only person in the house.
Right.
There was no other people in the house that we saw, and the fact that she said there was something about that room, and it didn't really like when I found out she was Sandy. I'm like, oh, but when I found out what Sandy really did, I'm like, oh shit, okay. All right,
Right.
it's a little fucked up. But I mean, what did you think about same thing you asked me, what did you think about that second twist?
Yeah, I mean, I realized what was happening after, like, you know, Lindsay bites the dust, but like, it's such a good twist and it's because it means so much more, and the whole entire movie really does flip in its meaning so quickly. And so you're kind of like, as the final sequence is happening, you're kind of just putting it together in your head, like, oh, that means that, and that means this. This is the reason that happened. And wow, if you look at it like this is why that happened. So it's really, honestly, one of those fantastic twists that just like makes everything take on a whole new meaning throughout most of the movie.
The fact that they give you a number too, because remember when she was researching library, it's like 100 missing persons.
Yeah.
And then you hear Sandy goes, "Yeah, I killed all 100 of them." I'm like, "Holy shit!"
Wild.
And then she's like, "They didn't find them. They kept them missing." And they show her putting them in the house. They're boarded in her house.
Which she must have some of the greatest like deodorant or
Oh,
air
God.
freshener in the world to cover that up.
Well, now it makes you realize how come all those people were never there. How come nobody ever came visit? And the thing too with that room, I don't know about you, but she rents out that room and the fuck the lights red and blue, was it red blue yellow the
Yeah,
whole
like a
night?
weird.
I mean, I'm sitting there like, why would you just keep paying for this room? Yeah, I mean, it's
Just
the
get
fucking
out.
lights in, just get out. But I love the twist because I see him coming, and the whole time you're here believing that Lindsay's the guy who's basically killed
Right.
Sandy. The fact that after his death, and when, like I said, when the barman goes, "No, that's Lindsay. He used to be he's a retired copper." The look on Eloise's face was so well done. The look of
Right.
shock on her face. Eh, Not for nothing, too. All right, I don't know what kind of cops they have in London because this girl almost stabbed a classmate in the head with scissors.
Right.
You had Lindsay get run over by a car, and she just happened to be there too. And they're not even questioning her about these two incidents. And I also love the fact that when she went back, she was like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta go home. I want to go home." When she went back to the house, I love the way Alexandra was like, "Oh, so you called the cops? You went to the cops, didn't you? Oh, so yeah, yeah, I don't know why you went to the cops. It's not like they're gonna basically find anything." And when she says, I'm Sandy, and then goes to that whole thing. Oh
Right.
no, well, what happened? Like it froze a minute. All right,
Oh yeah, you for a second there. Yeah, I don't know what. Give me a second.
all right,
There we go.
okay, we're good.
Okay, we can go back. Yeah,
All
sorry.
right, cool. No, no, it flashed real quick. I'm like, what happened there? All right, 5, 4, 3, 2. Yeah, so I like the fact that they had that conversation, and she was like, "Oh no, you're not gonna tell the cops anymore." And this is after she gave her the tea. Now, this is my one nitpick in this film.
Mhm.
That tea was meant to kill her.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
I mean,
Right?
I understand the adrenaline rush of your adrenaline, but at the same time, saying, like, hold up, she's just poisoned to kill you, and you were able to fight that whole time, even though you were weakened. But
Right.
when the hell was that supposed to kick in? Now, I mean, maybe it's adrenaline rush, but That's the only my only nitpick. But I like the fact that I mean I thought Alex was gonna kill her, and then
Right.
that scene where she goes into oh, there's something we didn't talk about. A fourth twist to this then,
Da-da-da.
because we didn't talk about the fact that the whole time these men were going after Eloise, it was actually for help.
Right. They were calling out, but they couldn't. Yeah,
I,
they fourth mini twist.
no, I thought that was very nicely done. I mean, but
Very
the whole
nicely
time you're
done.
thinking, aren't you guys assholes anyways, man? You took advantage of her.
Right. It's I think I like that too. Also that aspect that it's like you don't necessarily like in all the other films that I've seen where there's ghosts in it, like there's the twist and it's like, oh, that ghosts are actually calling out for help or they want to help. You always feel sorry for the ghost then, but in this one, it's like, yeah, you guys got murdered, but you're also icky. You're like, ew, you're guys twice your age trying to sleep with, a girl and take advantage. It's like, did you deserve to die? Maybe not, but still, I don't feel too bad for you.
No, you guys deserved it. I'm sorry, you took advantage of her just because she wanted to be, somebody. And I mean, granted, I do like what Jack told her before she went in the room and sat down. You asked for this. This is
Right.
what you wanted. So you asked for this. Don't just blame us. Which is a cool way because she was like, well, I'm not going to jail. I've been in jail
Right.
my whole life. Just sat in the bed, fucking house went on fire. And then Eloise, I liked that twist at the end too. Here's another one. Wow, the more you talk about it, the more you see these little things.
Little
What
twists.
did you think of Sandy replacing her mother in the mirror?
I think I think that's like a great like way to show character growth too. Of like Eloise is now kind of not she's still holding on to the past, but now she's using it to kind of power her forward in her life as opposed to it holding her back. What do you think about it? I don't know if you get the same deal.
No, I agree. I think it's one of those things where she felt more emboldened, where she's gonna strive to do harder because she understood that what Sandy had to do, but at the same time, she doesn't want to go to Sandy's footsteps. So I felt like
Right.
almost like I'm going to be famous my way, but I'm gonna thank you for showing me what not to do in a way.
Yeah, how not to do it.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, you got any last thoughts on this one? Because this film is, I'm glad we did this film.
Yeah, this film's fantastic. I think this what needs to be shouted out, and I never do it because I feel like nowadays Hollywood, those types of big budget films, advertising just does not. The marketing campaign always seems to fall flat most of the time.
Yeah.
But this the marketing campaign for this movie kind of evolved just like the one for Cabin in the Woods, which is unfortunate because it's a double-edged sword, right? Because it makes the movie so much more impactful, but at the same time, you have a whole bunch of people who just don't care to watch it, and that's exactly what happened to me. I thought this was a by the numbers type murder mystery film, kind of with some, with Eloise experiencing the past, but she's like, oh, that's the killer right there. But the marketing did such a good job of hyping it up as it's clearly this Lindsay guy.
Yeah.
The film's going to end when she exposes Lindsay. And that's absolutely not what this movie is about. And the marketing did such a good job of doing that my mind completely was not ready for that first of 17 twists at the So I think, got to give the marketing a shout out for once.
So I'm gonna say is this is where I give the film a lot of credit too. This is one of the few films I would say that every every cast member in this film played their role. So
They did.
sometimes we watch a lot of films. You're like, oh, why the fuck is this person in it? We don't need this person. We don't need... Every person in this film played their role perfectly. you had the bullying in the school. You had the guy who just wants to be friends with her, and
Right.
unfortunately, I give the dude credit. I mean, at one point, would you be like, "Listen, this is too much for me. I
I would
can't
have
do
pieced
this
out.
shit." Yeah, but he kept going. Give him credit. But yeah, I feel like every character in this film did this role, and it made me enjoy the film. Now, yes, I did fall asleep the initial time I watched it, but it was
Right.
Friday. It was a long day, long week from work, and I'm getting older, so I can tend to fall asleep on the couch now. But but when I sat down and watched it, I actually enjoyed this movie very much
Yeah.
because I love the characters. I love the way it played out. You had the character development in the beginning. This is where you're seeing a lot about grief horror and a lot of like slow burn horror films where they're actually attacking the character development early in the film. So that way
Right.
they open the door for all right, let's everything go crazy now because we're about to, show you why this is a fucking horror film. But for me, this is, I mean, the fact that Anya Taylor Joy's in this film and she has a lot of parts, but she's not the main actress of the film, shows you a lot of how well this film was done. And it
Right.
shows you how good Edgar Wright is because, listen, everything in this film, I think this is definitely a top notch film. This film might sneak into my top 15. Will it ever sneak into the top 10? I gotta watch it again, but it's up there because
Dang.
I don't find too many flaws in this film, except for that one nitpick with her, getting drugged up. But
Yeah.
cinematography was great. Storyline was amazing. And matter of fact, as a aspiring author, I think this is if you're gonna follow a film that has twist upon twist, and you want to write like suspense, watch this film. This
Yeah.
film is should be up there as one of the films you use as your inspiration to write something suspenseful and a good thriller and good character development. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
all I
for
gotta say
sure.
about this film. I mean, you got anything before we sign off?
No, I think we hit it over the head. It's a really good film if you want to like see how character development can be done right in like a subtle way. Because you can do character development, make it loud, everyone knows what's going on, but the subtlety in this film is just another level from anything else, really.
Yeah, no, definitely Thomasin McKenzie. Great job in this film. Ain't it to enjoy? Man, I love her so much. And thank you, Edgar Wright, for
She's great.
directing this film. Because I think if anybody else would have directed it, they wouldn't have come out the same. So thank you
No,
for directing this film. Till next time, this is GR. That's my boy Radar. Do me a favor, continue to support this guy. This guy's gonna be blowing up, and then we're gonna be sitting here talking about all his movies that are getting made from this books. So
fingers
till
crossed.
next time, please.
Peace.